On an April evening in 2018, a black Ford S-Max pulled up beside a silver BMW waiting at a red light. Suddenly, a figure leapt from the Ford's passenger seat, ran to the BMW and unleashed a burst of gunfire through the side window. Within seconds, the shooter jumped back into the car and the people carrier sped away, long before the lights turned green. It was over in seconds. Inside the BMW, everything was splashed in red. The passenger had been hit several times. The driver, a young woman giving him a lift, was covered in blood. She scrambled for her phone and dialed 999.
I need an ambulance right now. Kenny, can you hear me?
Oh my God, my friend has been shot in the head. Please hurry up, man. I swear to God there's blood pouring out of his head.
You are watching OCG TV.
Despite being shot 6 times, Kenny Reilly clung to life for 2 days before he died. Reilly had already been warned his life was in danger. Police had issued an Osman warning after receiving intelligence that he was a target. He had tried to take precautions, driving a borrowed armoured car with ballistic glass and metal plating. But the decision to leave it behind and accept a lift would cost him his life. The Glasgow underworld was volatile at times. Reilly was linked to the Daniels crime family, whose associates had been repeatedly targeted over the previous year. 2 months before the shooting, William Barclay was ambushed in the street and had 2 fingers severed with a machete. The previous May, Stephen Daniel was stabbed after a 100-mile-per-hour car chase through North Glasgow, suffering such severe facial injuries that first responders initially thought he'd been shot. Meanwhile, the assassin's car, the Ford S-Max, was found burned out hours later in nearby Craigieburn Gardens. Forensic experts discovered DNA on the wreckage, a breakthrough that helped officers narrow down their list of suspects. That DNA belonged to Ross Fisher. While not known as a major criminal, Fisher had several convictions dating back to 2014, including firearms offences. Over time, detectives from Police Scotland pieced together who was involved and how the plan unfolded. Their case was this: Darren Eadie organised the hit team and oversaw the operation. Morton Eadie, his father, acted as a getaway driver. Ross Fisher stole the Ford S-Max and later set it ablaze. John Kennedy was the gunman. Detectives soon uncovered the volatile web of criminal rivalries surrounding the case, a world that would ultimately provide both the backdrop and the motive for murder. The Eadies were reportedly furious with Reilly after a drug deal went bad. They had allegedly convinced an associate to front Reilly £100,000 worth of drugs. When the deal soured and Reilly refused to pay, the Eadies couldn't afford to be seen doing nothing. They decided to send a message that Reilly and his associates couldn't simply walk away without paying their debts. Tensions rose further after Darren Eadie's friend, Ryan McAteer, was attacked with machetes, an assault that the Eadies also blamed on Reilly. The feud was spiralling into extreme violence. 8 days later, it came to a head. After leaving the Saracen bar with associate Ryan Carville, Reilly was confronted by Darren Eadie and his crew over the unpaid debt. A fight broke out. Carville brandished what looked like a gun, a convincing imitation that made the Eadies back off. 3 days later, Kenny Reilly was shot dead. Suspicion deepened when investigators traced the group's movements in the days following the shooting. Just 48 hours after the attack, on the very day Reilly died in hospital, John Kennedy and his partner flew to Jamaica for a 2-week holiday. Soon after, Darren Eadie jetted off to Cancun, while Morton Eadie travelled to Alicante, Spain. Further examination of mobile phones revealed messages suggesting animosity between the groups. During the investigation, police thought they'd made a breakthrough in an unsolved 2006 murder. Jamie Campbell from Carntine was shot dead on Essenside Drive in Drumchapel. His killer was never caught. new forensic techniques revealed DNA on bullets that could belong to John Kennedy. A burned-out, stolen Fiat Ducato found nearby also contained items with his DNA. Days after that murder, Kennedy fled to Australia, mirroring his behaviour after Reilly's shooting, before returning to the UK in January 2007 and vanishing from sight. After being arrested in Tenerife in 2020, an unexpected twist emerged at trial. Notorious Gangland figure Alexander Sutherland testified on Kennedy's behalf, claiming that Kevin Carroll had confessed to Campbell's murder during a car journey. As a result, the charge for Campbell's murder was dropped. Kennedy's relief, however, was short-lived. Further insight into the motive for Reilly's murder came from witness Kevin McGinn, who had shared a cell with Kennedy for 11 days at Barlinnie prison.
Kennedy started to tell me a bit about Kenny Reilly. According to Kennedy, Reilly bumped Jamie Stevenson and his son Jared for 100 grand, for 3 kilos of coke and 1 kilo of heroin.
McGinn explained how giving evidence made him a target.
Over the last 3 years since giving the statement, I have been terrorised. I have even attempted to kill myself. Mr. Kennedy has got people to do things to me.
He also revealed that Kennedy had let slip key details, that he was masked up, wearing a boiler suit and gloves, and had bragged it was proper hitman stuff, a clean job. This evidence became the smoking gun that secured Kennedy's 26-year sentence. Morton Eadie was once one of the most feared men in Glasgow. He had been arrested over the 1990 murder of John Conroy, but was released without charge. In more recent years, he and his family were better known for running Frampton's Bar in Maryhill. He seemed certain he would be cleared in the Reilly case. On the day of sentencing, he drove himself to the High Court and parked out front, expecting to walk free and drive home afterward. Instead, he was handed a 22-year sentence. There are whispers in the underworld that Eadie Sr. was not the driver that night. His supposed innocence was even protested at a recent Old Firm football match. Darren Eadie didn't stop after Reilly's death. He and Ryan McAteer attacked Paul Lawson at Sizzler's Grill House a year later, in retaliation for the machete attack of 2018. At the time, Darren still hadn't been caught for Reilly's murder and likely believed he'd covered his tracks, but he was eventually swept up with the others and sentenced to life, with a minimum term of 24 years. Ross Fisher also received a life sentence, proving you don't have to pull the trigger to go down for murder. He was given a minimum of 22 years and has shown no remorse since. In the end, justice came hard and fast. All 4 men handed life sentences, with minimum terms ranging from 22 to 26 years. Together, those totals amount to almost a century behind bars. Their convictions sent a clear message that the days of gangland impunity are over. Once the Glasgow underworld operated in the shadows, ruled by fear and silence. But the courts have grown increasingly ruthless in their pursuit of organised crime. These sentences stand as some of the longest ever handed down for a contract killing in Scotland, proof that the British justice system is no longer turning a blind eye to the blood feuds and street executions that once defined the criminal underworld. For Kenny Reilly's killers, the message could not be clearer. The era of untouchable gangsters is ending, and the price for violence is now measured in decades.